Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin True, and joining me today, he's the leader of an elite force of Malaysian attack otters. It's Justin Housman!
Did you know that there were otters in Malaysia? No, of course you didn't. Why would you ever think about that?
I didn't know.
We'll get to that in a minute, but I find the most shocking thing about the story to be that there are Malaysia. I mean, I've never been to Malaysia. I'm picturing hot, humid, tropical.
That's kind of hot, right?
How are there
right.
like river otters there and where I live in the cool redwoods?
Right. Are you sure they're not nutria?
Okay, that is an animal that sounds like a cracker, but it is an animal. You're right.
All right,
they're
whoever
small,
had
though, aren't
it's
they?
an invasive type
really?
of otter.
I think they're kind of smallish.
So, yeah. Yeah, well, we've got them up here, and all I know is that you're not supposed to love them.
Why
like
are
the
they called
otters.
that? I mean, that is definitely like a locale,
yogurt,
yes.
right? Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
From
I was
the
going to say
80s.
whoever had producer Dave in the what gets edited out first poll wins because Nutria. I don't think that's going to make the final. I'm kidding.
This is a good bit.
Don't let your ignorance
this is a good
blind
bit.
you, Colin.
It is a weird name that it's an animal. But listen, we are going to get into attack otters in Malaysia or attack nutria in Portland. Might be both. But before we get to that, we got a few housekeeping items to get through. First of all, thank you for listening to The Rock Fight. And we would really appreciate it if you would go follow and rate the show wherever you're listening on whatever podcast app. Leave us that 5-star rating, and then go listen to our other podcast, Gear and Beer, and you can follow and rate that show wherever you're listening to The Rock Fight. This past week, our pal Justin Housman did a whole breakdown of fly fishing for the uninitiated.
This is a good one.
It was good. It was a great episode, so go check that out. Listen to Gear and Beer, listen to The Rock Fight, and, hey, Justin, if our listeners would like to reach out to us, what should they do?
Well, they should email us at myrockfight@gmail.com. Pictures of pets are fine. We'll accept those if you'd like to send some of those, or of your children, that's fine. Or of you tangled up in your new fly fishing gear, that'd be fun too. You can also read our newsletter, and the best way to get that is to head to rockfight.co and click on Join the Mailing List, just like that.
And I'll make a public apology for putting a typo in this week's newsletter.
Oh boy, yeah.
It was a rough morning when that comes out, and you're like, I think I pointed one out. There was an AJ newsletter typo that I found.
Probably.
I remember a very verbose, oh shit, when
you know
he
what
came back. It just
makes you. It's human. That's what are you gonna do?
It also makes you want to kind of die a little bit too, though.
If you've done it, yeah, sure. But I don't know. Like I'm trying not to grip so tightly onto those things like that. Who cares?
Let's kick it off with our lead story. This one came out this past week from the Yahoo News, and they ran a story about a bag of Cheetos that was dropped inside a cave at Carlsbad Caverns National Park in New Mexico, which this misstep by a visitor caused a huge impact on the park and the cave's ecosystem, where the corn for the Cheetos created the perfect environment for microbial life and bacteria, and then that attracts flies and spiders and mites, which disperses these nutrients elsewhere in the caves and creates mold. In a public post, the Carlsbad Caverns said, contrary to popular belief, the cave is not a big trash can and that the rangers pick up trash from visitors every single day.
Isn't that insane?
Good for you. I love that they said that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of inevitable though. Like if people go, like trash will be left behind, though, right?
It doesn't have to be.
Kind of like how it goes.
It doesn't have to be. I wouldn't say that's
I
inevitable.
Feel like it does.
I think it's very evitable. Evitable?
But how irresponsible would you have to be to like drop a bag of Cheetos?
Well, that was clearly okay. So I also wrote a story about this for National Parks Traveler, although I didn't realize that we'd already posted about it like days before, so I had to like kill it. But I thought about this, and at first I thought it was an empty bag of Cheetos, which makes sense. Right? Like,
kid drops it, or
like it fell out of my
something.
back, like I, whatever. But like a full bag, someone was obviously just snacking on it and it slipped out of their hand, and they felt really guilty because apparently there's like a full orientation you have to go through before you go in that says like nothing besides water can come in with you.
Oh, so it's not even like you just they tell you.
Yeah, they
do
specifically do not bring any
anything
food in here, nothing but water. And so like clearly somebody was like, and then dropped it. It was like, oh shit, like so. I think that's probably what happened. But it is wild, like what a difference it can make. I mean, like it's pretty incredible. Like I was reading about it, and it was like within like minutes, there's like foreign microbes somehow that don't exist in the cave system already. Maybe I guess they're already on the Cheetos bag or the person's hands, and they just go nuts in there. And it's like it. I mean, it's like a little.
It's like a science fiction movie. You see like the veiny black like lines like creeping across the bottom of the cave.
I believe this is the premise of the X-Files movie.
Is it?
Yes, they
Yeah, that's
Cheetos were
right.
dropped into a cave, turns
That's
into
right.
a black sludge.
The cancer
and then
I heard
man
next thing you
Nutria
know,
played heavily
people-
into this plot as well.
people are snacks.
I
That's
need to
right.
revisit that
absolutely.
movie. But
Absolutely.
yeah, like apparently there's also like a cafe down there that is like sealed off, so they can kind of monitor things. So if you have to have a snack, you can go to like the place where it's okay. But
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, you're almost inviting catastrophe at that point, aren't you? You're saying, like, there's an orientation is saying you can't have any food in here, but hey, go ahead and have a treat at our little cafe, but don't take anything into the caves after you go there. I just like humans aren't built for this. We're totally going to take the food in the caves. This feels very much on brand for us.
so yesterday I went for I'm demoing a new incredible mountain bike, boys. It's right next to me.
Ooh.
It's another e-bike, but from Marin. It hasn't been released yet, so I can't like say what it is, but it's pretty sweet. And so yesterday I went for a ride all the way from my house to the top of Mount Tamalpais and kind of around there and then back down. Pretty long ride, which I would not normally do, but e-bike makes it possible. Anyway, I bitch a lot about how Marin is like kind of like a museum where you can't like it's like look but don't touch, you know. And like there's a
you do live in Marin.
okay,
Right?
all right.
Okay, just making sure.
And yesterday though, as I was riding back down, I was like looking at some of the reservoirs, and they're just like freaking pristine, right? And like it did. As much as I would love to swim in them and like use a boat on them and all these sorts of things, you're like, okay, like I understand why we can't, and it is pretty magical. Like when you get up there, sometimes you can see San Francisco on one side, and the other side is just pristine, like open space. Like, okay, I get why we've done this. There's hordes of people just over the hill, and if you could, if these lakes were a free for all, it would be disgusting up here. So I'm like, point of that is that maybe we just shouldn't be allowed anywhere anymore. Is what I'm saying. Like, why are we letting people into the caves? Why are we doing that at all? It's like
it's a national park.
I mean, I get that, but it's like maybe don't let people into the place that like if you drop one bag of Cheetos, you disrupt entire ecosystems.
Or are there repercussions? Like if you're caught with your Cheetos, like I don't know what that would be.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe we need to introduce caning, like in Singapore or whatever. You know, like you litter, you get caned.
How about a TSA for national parks?
Yeah.
You got to go through the. That's right. The X-ray system. It's gonna, but it's gonna.
Well, that's it. It's a slippery
it.
slope. You start going down
Right?
this rabbit hole of like what you could do, and it's like, okay, this is kind of ridiculous. We can't do any of that, right?
well-
I mean, I guess we could, but like it'd be.
I just realized that Minority Report has like a massive like unexplored dimension, which is like, why couldn't we have like precogs about like shit like littering? Like somebody wakes up out of a milk bath and they're like Cheetos, you know, and it's like they have to like find somebody that's gonna drop the Cheetos bag, or like someone just like cigarette butt. Like out the car window.
Yeah, in the movies, these like the premonitions are always like these massive world economic events or political events.
Why can't
it's like,
it be someone's going to
go.
go 35 in a residential zone, or like so and so's going off trail? That's right. I can hear, yeah. That'd be
Like, oh, my car got dinged at the mall
so
parking lot.
You're just like, I might poach, and here's a ranger. You're like, oh fuck, they got me.
Oh, we got you.
Look, if there's gonna be a ground zero for a world claiming ecological disaster, the idea that it comes from a Dorito is probably not that far off.
That's a very good point.
Cheeto. Sorry.
By the way, would you like to know what the price of
one catastrophe?
What the price of a bag of? You want to know the price of a bag of Doritos? And is it Katsubu? Katsubu. You know, in Alaska, it's a very famous like adventure town. Katsubu.
Okay. Oh, is that where they can only like fly their stuff in?
Yes. Would you like to know what a bag of Doritos costs? $11.29 for a normal bag of Doritos.
You better want those Doritos.
Thanks to an Instagram reel.
So it's only a couple bucks more than the 7-Eleven.
Actually, you know what?
Yeah,
Good
right.
point. I actually have absolutely no idea what a bag of Doritos costs.
That's what's the frame of reference.
For all I know, it's $10 where I live. I don't buy Doritos.
Right.
Also, I am curious if it was like a full bag or someone like toting around like a giant bag.
No, it was a snack size bag. It was a snack size bag, but it was mostly full. And so like apparently like the corn, like, corn's very nutritious and that like
and it's
that
nice
went off.
and moist and humid in that cave.
Yep. Had it just been like an empty bag, I don't think it would have mattered. Also, it's just a reminder that like it feels like if you're a ranger, like 90% of your job is just shaking your head at the visitors, just like, God damn it, like that's got to be.
I vastly, so being in a somewhat, I mean, I'm in like the outskirts of San Diego, but it's still kind of a bit urban in terms of use. And the hill, like I go up every day, like there's usually lots of trash. And there's sometimes, so you can tell someone has come and cleaned it up. And I go through like phases of like, actually, it's not this dirty up here as it could be. Then there's other times I'm like, oh my God, this place is disgusting.
Yeah.
How could people like treat it this way? And I just sort of like, I guess I'm just starting to accept that this is just the way we are. I mean, Dave, you've been the sort of leading voice against Portlanders leaving poop bags on the trail lately. I mean, I kind of think that that's another example of like just I think this is somewhat inevitable. It's like because I think there's an instinct to be like, well, I put that poop bag down. I meant to pick it back up, but
God, is that really
I'm
what
just going to
happens?
breeze right by it on the way back to my car. I don't need to get that. Someone else will pick it up after me, right? I mean, I think that's just kind of the way we're wired.
Not me.
I think you might be right, but I don't think it needs to be inevitable. I mean, you sound a little bit like J.D. Vance there and gun control.
dare you.
It's like,
We're going to shoot each other
just what
anyway.
are you
Like,
gonna
fuck,
do?
may as well.
What is that? Yeah, that's right.
Different stakes,
That's
but I
right.
get your point.
Way different
you're probably
stakes
right.
and probably
You're
inappropriate.
probably right that people
but,
are like, I know I left that poop back there, but I don't give a shit. I mean,
They totally feel that way.
Yeah.
I'm
Which
sure
is-
there are legit forgotten about poop bags, but I think there are a fair share of them are like, no, not today. Someone else.
to be
will get
fair,
that
if you're leaving a poop bag, you do
Why
give a
don't
shit.
they? So I
Right?
don't own a dog. Is it just you don't want to be like walking around swinging a bag of poop? Like I don't understand why people leave them. Is that's the
It's
idea?
totally what it is. Yep.
How is
That's
that not
totally
on
what it is.
you? Like that's your
It
decision
is.
to like you have. I'm sorry, but you have to carry the poop. Like
Yes.
so, like when I because I bring poop bags when I go like dispersed camping.
For yourself.
Yeah. I used to call them wag bags, not realizing that that's a brand name, and I don't use wag bags. I use duty something. I don't know, or reliable bags. Anyway, and I don't even leave those behind the like if I'm going to be camped for like 3 or 4 days, I put them in the bed of my truck and drive them around with me. And like I'll hopefully I'm going to find a garbage can, but maybe I don't that day. Maybe.
Are you sure that doesn't have more to do with your scat fetish?
Well,
though?
that's
I
a little
mean,
bit, but that stash goes in the glove compartment. That's different.
Okay.
But like,
And it's other
I don't
people's.
even want to leave that behind. Where like, I don't know why. It just feels like this is like a bridge too far to like leave this behind at the campsite. So like, it just goes in the back of my. It's like I can't even fathom. Just every time I see a little poop bag on a bike ride or something, I'm just like baffled. I don't want to recreate the scene of the crime. Because that dog, that Cheetos bag thing is probably a straight up mistake. Leaving a poop like they probably it was probably a kid and they were like, oh no, and they felt really bad.
Yeah.
The dog poop thing though, that's right to jail. That's the Portlandia meme of what's his name, right to jail.
What was the Right to Jail episode? I don't know if I know that one.
I don't even know. I mean, I think it's from Portlandia. It might not be. Pretty sure it is though. It's gotta be. How come I'm blanking on? Oh, Fred Armisen. You've seen the meme though, right? Where he's dressed like a South American dictator. He just is right to jail.
No, it's from Parks and Rec.
Oh,
That's
is?
from Parks and Rec.
Oh,
yeah, it's
man.
Parks and Rec.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
But yes, I know exactly what you mean. All right, before we get to the rest of this week's headlines, we need to mention our teammates over at Darby Communications, because if you run an outdoor endurance or active lifestyle brand, there's no better PR or digital marketing belay partner or beer drinking buddy than our pals at Darby. They can help your business reach new heights. They might just keep you from falling on your ass. Look, guys, I don't know how many times we have to tell you this, but if they can help us, and they do help us quite a bit, the Rock Fight has benefited quite a bit from having Darby in our corner. They can truly help anybody. Which brings us to our intro headline. So this article comes from Canadian Running Magazine. A Malaysian woman was out for her early morning jog last week when she was surrounded by 8 otters who were aggressively looking for food. At first, she dismissed the otters, thought they were cats, but then the otters demanded recognition and attacked her, leaving behind wounds on her legs, arms, and head. Did you watch the video? Did you see the pictures in the article?
Yeah, a little. Yeah,
It's fucking brutal, man.
Yeah.
She was banged up.
Yeah.
So
this has happened before with river otters. Wait, were these river otters? They have to be.
I don't
yeah,
know.
they were.
They just said they were.
'cause, like,
yeah.
yeah. This is. I've seen this before with otters. Like river otters are apparently super nasty. And I don't know what the deal is there. Maybe not super nasty, but they're like way more aggressive than like ocean otters would be.
Which is kind of hilarious because I even wrote in here, like, they're like, I think of them as like cute stuffed animals. Like,
Yeah.
I guarantee you all of our kids at one point
Dude,
had
they're
a
badass.
stuffed
If you
otter,
see 'em-
right?
Well, they probably have stuffed sea otters because like river otters are a little different. Like they're a little bit like, I mean, they look like when if you're not super familiar, like look up a river otter, like you'll kind of be like, okay, I can sort of see how this could like be a potentially fearsome animal. Like they can walk, they can like run on land. I don't know how well sea otters do at that, and they're bigger and longer, and they look a little bit more like weasels. But we have them all over the place around here. And when you see them, they're so rad. Like they're just swimming and having a great time. But like, I wouldn't want to necessarily.
Yeah,
get
then they get
surrounded by
together with
8
their
of them.
buddies and they fuck you
Yeah.
up.
But also, I don't know. We probably talked about it on the show before. But when I see these stories, it reminds me of like my all-time favorite nonfiction essay I guess it's an essay. I'm not even really sure. In a book called Pulphead by John Jeremiah Sullivan, who
Great name.
He wrote like 1 or 2 books, and that was it. He is like an editor at the Paris Review, but I imagine he works at a grocery store or something. Like I don't think he really does much. But he wrote this incredible story about how he was going around interviewing all these like biologists who were talking about all these animal attacks, like this one, like these really bizarre animal attacks. And they got like progressively weirder and weirder. And a lot of the scientists were talking about how there's these theories about like the Earth will like kind of at a certain point like not tolerate humans anymore, and it's like this animal apocalypse, and it's like it's evolutionary, and like they've seen this in the evolutionary record, all these sorts of things. And then he like flipped the page. He's like, I made all that up. None of that actually happened. It's such a great. It was like an article in like a big time magazine, but it was. Yeah, you're like, holy shit. He's like, you should know I made all of this up.
That totally makes sense. I'm like hanging on every word you're saying right there as you're describing it to me.
he read like a story about otters attacking somebody, just went off with it. But I will say, like the other day some people around here were talking about my wife. She said she saw a bobcat on this these this trail she likes to run on, and like that's not that big of a deal. Bobcat's not going to attack you, but some of the other parents around were kind of like, oh no, like that's kind of freaky. And I tend to dismiss that sort of thing, but like shit, dude, like bobcat could take your kid, like no problem, And
bobcat's an interesting one because they're not very big, and when you see one, and they're really cool to look at, but also they're just like I think you could really do some damage.
I wouldn't want to fuck with it.
You did.
Yeah.
Well. So that made me want to ask, and I'm really curious your opinion on this. Like, what are the cutest animals that we could encounter? And the bobcat may be the winner that could really fuck us up.
Good question.
If it decided to.
Well, it sounds like otter, honestly. I mean, because the otters I don't know of any bobcat.
Judging by the images of this woman, I'd say probably. So they're number 1 on the list.
There's a meme for this, Colin. It's called "If Friend Shaped, Why Dangerous."
I've seen that. I saw footage the other day of a koala like running at a kid.
That's perfect.
That's a perfect. Okay, we'll put koala at number 2 because I think you think koala. You think so you're holding it and like maybe it'll give me chlamydia. Like that's the worst thing a koala is going to do to me. But it's.
I'm sorry. How would that happen, Colin?
Don't you know about chlamydia? Well, come on.
It comes from koalas.
Didn't you know there's a high? Yeah, chlamydia is a big deal in koala populations.
No, I don't keep up on the sexually transmitted diseases amongst Australian marsupials. Dr. True.
Listen, man, when you're into the shit that I'm into, you got to know your stuff, brother. All right.
I had I've seen footage of like a panda bear like trying to kill someone through the bars before.
That's a good one.
Like.
Yeah. Another just cuddly. Every kid has a stuffed animal.
Like they're big. Like you see when you're like
Also, bear is in the name.
Yeah, that's a bear. Like I'm not. It's cute, but it's still a bear. I think I'm going with otter on this one.
Well, solo otter, but this is a pack of otters, right?
Okay, one at a time, maybe maybe a big bobcat.
I feel like I could fend off one, but 8 otters, you're kind of clearly.
Well, how many house cats could you take on? I bet I could take on at least 20 cats, right? I mean, you get one in your hands, it's over.
Do you ever get scratched by a cat? I mean, their claws are sharp.
Yeah, but man. I mean, like you'd be so pumped with adrenaline, you wouldn't feel that. I feel like if you get one cat, as soon as you get the cat in your hands, that cat's done.
Well, are we saying that they're going to kill us or just really mess us up? Because I feel like you'd be pretty messed up.
What's the difference? I mean, like at that point, I'm in the fight for my life here, man.
That's a good
I'm
point.
getting attacked by 8 river otters.
Stomping on them.
It's me or them.
Well,
yeah. It's not like they're trying to take
otters,
my phone.
Are you putting seals in the kind of the otter kind of camp too? Because I think
harbor seals are super cute.
In the water, they're pretty useless on land, though.
Yeah, but if you're swimming and a harbor seal comes up and decides it wants a piece of you, you're done.
I was surfing not that long ago, and like a seal kind of poked its head up, like I don't know, like 15 feet away, and it was awesome. But it was also like, hey, you're a little too close, man, because you come charging at me, I got nothing. Like you're gonna win.
Yeah, I've been chased out of the water by sea lions, and they're huge. They're like big. 10 feet long.
Yeah,
and like me and a friend once were literally chased out of the water by one. We kind of wonder if it was either being territorial or there was like a shark around. Like I don't know.
It didn't like that you're trying to put a saddle on it and ride it around.
Yeah, what's fun? Hey, this is our ocean, bud.
Don't you know that I'm the apex predator here?
I just still amazed that there's freaking otters in Malaysia. Like what? Man, this animal has really gotten around. Maybe they escaped from a zoo or something.
8 of them, little gang.
That's so gnarly. Yeah. Oh, I do remember once seeing. I remember Golden Gate Park has like a giant population of raccoons and bobcats and coyotes. It's a very wild place. But me and my wife were once on a little hike around a really pretty pond there called Stowe Lake, and there was like this family, and they were trying to get their kid, like a 2-year-old kid, to take a picture with this like, I don't know what you call a group of raccoons, 15 like raccoons.
Yeah.
and they're all like standing up at these rocks, and like they get their little girl to like stand right next to them, and we're like, "Are you insane?" Like, I mean, one
These
like
are wild animals.
Like these are wild animals.
Yeah,
like they're
right.
obviously covered in all kinds of horrifying things. Like and like they could easily just grab her and run in the bushes. You never see her again.
And just to chime in there, a group of raccoons is called a gaze or a nursery.
Holy,
Is that
I'm gonna
real?
go with gaze. Gaze is great.
I think you know who the winner here is. We haven't mentioned. I think they're cute animals, but they win every single time, and it's the skunk.
Oh wow.
No matter what, they don't even have to touch you, and you're
right.
You're
They
having
have long
you're having a
range. They have
bad
long
day
range.
after that encounter.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't
your
say. I guess they're cute. I don't know if I like
It
think
can
of them
be.
as
You
cute.
come like lumbering
Yeah.
down the trail. If you didn't know what it was, look at that black whale. Oh, he's got the big
that's
tail,
true.
right?
And they have that like the kind of weird waddle.
yeah.
Turns out all animals can fuck you up because all animals, for the most part, have to defend themselves from predators or each other, and they have like evolved ways to deal with that.
Cute or not,
You and me, we're just like trying to like watch some stuff on the internet and like drink some coffee
Yeah.
and like maybe go to bed early. We don't know how to defend ourselves.
All right, moving
That's
on.
all.
So the next article comes from a National Parks traveler and some journalist named Justin Cabin Boy, a hiker
That's a
in
beautiful,
Washington.
beautiful last name.
Well, you know,
Gorgeous name.
we're gonna have to. There's all sorts of ways we can spin it. So. A hiker in Washington has been found after spending a month lost in North Cascades National Park. Robert Schock was reported missing on August 5th. After a 2-week search turned up nothing, the search was called off, but he was then discovered by a trail crew on August 30th. It was noted that he was in pretty rough shape and likely would not have survived much longer. So obviously, Justin, you wrote this, but do we know much more than what? 'Cause I saw the story in a couple of different places, but I mean, was this guy an experienced hiker? Do we know anything more than just sort of the basics of the story?
We do not, and I have a I have a Facebook request out to his mom because she's in all this. She's in a couple of the stories.
Oh yeah,
So I have a Facebook request out to her to see if she could possibly put me in connection with him. I don't expect much to come of that, but no, we don't know anything more than that. I mean, it's a really interesting story. He apparently knew this area. And he knew this hike. He claimed that the hike had recently been, or the trail had been changed, like after like a river crossing in the Chilliwack River.
Chilliwack, yeah.
That there's like a point where the trail crosses the river, and then it becomes a like the trail kind of forks. And I guess he said there's been a change since last time he was there, and so he got off on the wrong fork or something like that. But he was found like 8 miles from his truck. Or his dog was found like 8 miles from where he parked. I think it was.
The dog was just up the trail. It was not that far away. It felt like relatively.
Maybe they found him 8 miles from the trailhead. But like it seemed like and it was like his wallet and stuff was like in the truck. It seemed like the kind of thing where he just went for a walk with his dog on the creek. And like I guess people saw him or reported had seen him, or maybe it was what they found with him. Like he just had like day hiking supplies. But there's definitely something a little bit weird about like the way that it was reported, just in the sense that the sheriff's department said they found him alive and well. And so basically what happened is rangers found his dog and he had a tag, and they were able to call his mom, and his mom was like, "What?" And okay, he's missing. So she declared him missing, so they started doing a big search. But the rangers said they found him alive and well, which is really weird. If it's been 30 days, like there's no chance of that, you know. But then the group that actually found him, this trail crew that was working in the area, not looking for him, they were just
they
like
heard
doing,
him, right?
They heard him,
Yeah.
which is also kind of surprising because they weren't like right next to him. And they heard him calling for help and went and found him. And then the guy who was in charge of that trail crew was just like basically just alludes to the fact that the Schock was in like horrible shape, like he wouldn't even get into it. And like no one should have to see what they saw. So you're like, well, did he get stuck? Is this like a
was he injured? He couldn't move?
Yeah,
Did
like
you find a magic bus and decide to hole up for the winter?
Yeah, like it's. I mean, maybe it was Into the Wild and whatever 27 hours or whatever that movie's called, like wrapped into one. Like I don't know. It is really interesting, and it's really hard to believe that he could live that long. Like in that situation,
right.
I mean, 30 days you need to have eaten. You know, like maybe you don't, but it seems like 30 days is a long time to go without having eaten, and maybe that's why he was in such bad shape.
Yeah,
but
it reminded me of the Santa Cruz hiker a few months ago that they found. You know, it wasn't quite as long that he was missing, but it was a similar thing where not that far from civilization, a little kind of bizarre. Someone from Gear Junkie actually tried to like go out, or Ford Gear Junkie, I think it was, like and recreate that guy's experience to see like, could you really get lost in this area because those mountains and trails in Santa Cruz are so close to civilization.
This dude was by a river, so like the direction the river's flowing, like it's pretty hard to get lost. So it makes you think he got hurt. We don't. The thing is, we're not entitled to this information. You know, like it's
Totally.
entirely possible that Shock himself is like, I don't want anyone to know. Like, I don't know. Maybe he's super embarrassed. I don't know anything about him. I don't know anything. And we get so like impatient for like details, but these sorts of stories are just so interesting though, because it almost like part of you wonders, okay, is there a learning experience here? Like, did he do something that kept him alive for 30 days? Like, did he make a huge mistake that other people could like profit from knowing about so that they don't do it? I don't know. I think it's justification. I think we really just want to know.
I think I think we do, because we, especially when it's things we're passionate about, we put ourselves in the position of what happened, so that like what would I have done, and and then when you do have experience in the outdoors and you think like, wow, a month, like what happened? Like were you hurt? Were you stuck? Or you just completely lost and couldn't were you too afraid and paralyzed by fear to try and go, find your way out?
Lord knows I've gone through some pretty weird mental places over the last like 6 months. Like maybe I could see someone having just a total freak out.
Right.
You know, and they're just like, they just lose touch with reality. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I can see all kinds of weird things. I mean, I don't know that you and I have actually talked about this on the show. Dave, maybe you'd remember, but I've never hurt myself in the backcountry. Like I've never had an experience where I couldn't get myself out, or even if that it became harder to get myself out because I'd injured myself. So I don't really know what that's like. I have no idea what happens at that point.
What about
like if I broke an
accident?
ankle, I was with a buddy and we had phones, and like they called the like search and rescue.
Yeah.
But if you're like by yourself, I mean, and this is a fairly remote-ish area, it sounds like. I mean, it's a national park, but it's still like kind of remote.
No, it's a good point. I mean, I've been hurt, but never to the point where like you sprain your ankle or something like that, right? Yeah.
Right. But like if you like fell and like broke your leg or something like that, and like you don't have any way to contact anyone, like
especially if you're by yourself.
And maybe he'd crawled for a week to get to that point. Like, I don't know. That's the stuff that would be kind of, it'd be nice to know, but really just because your brain is like, what the hell? How'd that happen?
Well, that's it. You kind of try to wrap your head around it. I mean.
But this happens a lot. I mean, people go missing for a long time at national parks all the time.
Yeah.
This is a particularly long one. Usually at this point, you're not alive anymore.
Yeah, they gave up the search on him. They gave him
that's the other interesting stuff, right? It's like, okay, so they called in like oddly enough, like Canadian like border patrol was like flying the rescue. So I guess it's close enough to Canada to where they were, they gave it a shot too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's a fascinating story, and hopefully, I don't know, it'd be great to talk to him. I'd love to talk to him. I don't want to like judge him or anything. I'm just curious what happened. So I'm trying to.
I'd like to have a word with the aliens who put him back in the wrong place, which is obviously what happened here. Yeah.
They like meant to get a cow and they got him instead. Like, shit.
Like the trail was right over there.
Pick up your poop bags, aliens. This is just like their version of a poop bag. It's like the discarded like.
They're strange. The aliens are strangely and nutria looking as well, So it's a
yeah. There's a connection here where they also found a Malaysian river otter nearby.
Those river otters, you're wondering why they're Malaysia aliens. It's explanation for everything.
I know what I would do in that situation.
Die.
I would baselessly speculate.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's what we're here to do, right?
That's
I wouldn't mind, I'll be honest with you. I guess like, Fox News and stuff exists, but it would be pretty fun to just write for a news, and I'm putting that in air quotes, organization where you can just basically speculate.
You already do.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Welcome to the rock fight.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But the intent matters, because I think that's the thing. Like, I mean, we're just genuinely curious. Like, no one's judging this poor guy. I mean, I'm glad he was found. I'm glad he's okay. If his mother never responds to you, that's totally her prerogative. Good for her. But I also very curious about what actually went down out there. All right, one more quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to do our last story and our parting shots. This episode of The Rock Fight is brought to you by the Great Malden Outdoors, an outdoor enablement campaign in the city of Malden, Massachusetts, and the brains behind this initiative, Darren Josie. He's here with me right now. Darren, first of all, what is an outdoor enablement campaign?
An outdoor enablement campaign provides 4 things: advertising, resources, programming, and youth development. These are the 4 things that I believe are really important to getting more people outside.
So why is this campaign important to DEI efforts in the outdoor industry?
We have to start by getting more people outside, and that can start their journey from 1, becoming someone who just enjoys outdoor recreation as a lifestyle, but 2, a path for a job. No one told me that going outside and rock climbing could lead to a job one day, or fishing, or bike riding. Didn't know that was a thing until I got into the industry. And I want to change that and start that journey a lot earlier for way more people in our society.
Hey, man. And lastly, how can outdoor brands and retailers help or participate?
go to thegreatmaldenOutdoors.com, click on the contact button and reach out. We are always looking for donations for gear, funds, and expertise. You can lend your existing staff to lead an online course, or if you're in the New England area, come on down and lead a class. We're looking for more programming.
Head to thegreatmaldenOutdoors.com and click contact to build a partnership today. All right, lastly today, 38-year-old Alaskan cyclist Lael Wilcox set a new women's record for cycling around the world. According to GearJunkie.com, Wilcox set out from Chicago in May, biked 18,125 miles, and then was back in Chicago last Wednesday. Her route took her from Chicago to New York, where she then flew to Portugal, biked across Europe, ending in Georgia, and then she biked across Australia and New Zealand, with the final leg being from Alaska back to Chicago, finishing in 108 days.
Via Marin, she rode through here.
Did she?
Yeah.
Were you around? Did you see her go by?
I had no idea this was happening until like a day after.
Well, the rules here are interesting, right? So to be eligible for the world record, you have to start and end in the same place. You have to travel continuously in one direction and cover more than 18,000 miles on a bicycle. The total distance, including flights, must amount to 24,854 miles, which is roughly the circumference of the equator. And once the clock starts, it doesn't stop during the attempt. Like, so, firstly, congrats to Lael. This is, I think, pretty cool. But I was curious, like, back to our conversation about Kilian Jornet last week and kind of big outdoor accomplishments. Where does something like this rank for you in both sort of the impressiveness of the accomplishment, but how interested you are in something like this?
Impressiveness, very high. Interested, not a whole lot. I mean, again, also, I don't want to like rehash that story, but it's like, I've written stories about dudes and women, people that just like did this when there was no recognition involved. They just wanted to see what it was like.
Yeah.
And back when this was a much bigger challenge, and like
not coordinated,
and they weren't professional cyclists. They're just like, I'm just going to try this.
A guy like you just got on your bike right now and just went out the front door.
And that's an adventure story. Like that's an adventure story. Yeah. This like, I guess like this to me isn't really an adventure. It's a sporting like challenge to be sure. But like, I wouldn't necessarily, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not trying to dismiss it, but I mean, it just feels like it's like a calculated like sporting feat, not as much.
Yeah, there was a goal here, right?
Adventure.
They were trying to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't do it. Like, Lord knows I couldn't do it. I wouldn't even try, And what a cool thing to have done. Like, no doubt about it. But I guess, again, like, if it was Mars, I'd be, like, super interested. But, I mean, like, people have done this,
I'm curious about the rules of this. Like,
I was also surprised about that, but I mean, obviously there's a governing body of this kind of a thing.
Yeah, well, because when I saw that, she's like, oh, and she ended it in Georgia, and then I just jumped to Australia. I'm like, whoa, wait, what do you mean? Like, what's happening? Like, I thought you were biking. I figured you'd go all around. So then you kind of see it, but I understand. Like, okay, so they're basically they're calculating. Okay, for this to be official, you have to like accomplish X, Y, and Z, and it makes a lot of sense. I'm just curious, like, how are these things established?
It would be cool if they added in the ocean distance that you flew, like
how do you but you have to go in the same direction. That's the
thing.
And
then you're like, okay, so you flew while you were doing this, you flew like over 12,000 miles of ocean to get from one as you jumped continents. You have to then ride 12,000 miles on land again, so you could officially say
I've ridden the distance.
Or you had to ride back.
So basically, you need to ride the 24,854 miles. Is really what you need to do.
I feel bad. This is an incredible accomplishment. Like I can't even. Lael Wilcox is obviously like a superhuman athlete. And she's always. By the way, go through her Instagram account. She has one face, and it's
smiling.
Like it's closed eyes, giant open mouth smile. There's like no other photos of Lael Wilcox unless she's riding the bike, in which case she often looks like she's in intense pain. But like every photo when she's not on the bike, it's wild. It almost looks like she's doing it on purpose.
This stacks up against like the stuff that you read, like the Tarahumara and stuff like that, and how they can just run 100 miles at a clip, and it's not a big deal. And most of it they attribute to the fact that they're like, "Hey, man, we're just out here running, having a good time,"
Yeah, totally. She obviously enjoys this. Yeah. I mean, It's also when I see these things, I'm also just fascinated by someone's life where they can do that, right? Like I realize that she's like an athlete, and I guess she gets paid to do this, which is weird though. Yeah. I mean, by who? I don't know who her sponsors are. She can't be like rolling in sponsor money, but so how long was she gone?
108 days.
108 days.
3 months.
I mean, like
I'm more interested in this story than the Kilian thing. Not to just make it about that and the comparison, but since I asked at the beginning, I think like if they made a documentary about this, given the mode of transportation and what she went through along the way. And you think about it, and you look, and they have in the Gear Junkie article, there's a picture of the map with sort of her route mapped out, and you're like, wow, look at that starting, in far western Europe, and then where you end up sort of, in kind of in Georgia, or how far what she covers in that section. She must have some interesting stories. Same thing like going across New Zealand and Australia. So I think that would be, I hope someone documented this. I'd be curious what that would look like if that's the case.
I also the fact that she went around the entire world versus just like a bunch of peaks in one like mountain range is way more compelling.
Right.
I mean, one thing I don't think I'll do it, but like I would love to ride a bike across the U.S.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be so freaking. I'd almost rather walk. Like obviously that would just that would take like a really long time. But I mean, I love the idea of like a nice slow thing like across the country, and that feels doable. I mean, people do that.
Producer Dave, I think take a note. We need to go pitch a new iteration of Kung Fu starring Justin Housman, and that'll be.
Is that what Kung Fu? Is that what it's about?
Yeah, you just go town to town, having adventures, solving problems.
God, either that or Forrest Gump.
I don't know that this ever really happened, but I do suspect it did. And I guess you could make the argument that with remote work, you totally can do this now. But God, I want to live in a world where you can just go town to town and just get like an odd job, and like you'll find somewhere to rent, and like then you just move on to the next.
Well, that was the
like,
Incredible Hulk too. So you're kind of like you're playing.
That was just like the world before the '80s, right? Like you didn't even like. Did people even ask what your social security number was?
But you do because you could honestly do most of your job on your phone. You can write on your phone. You can do emails.
You could. I mean, theoretically, I could, but it's different because I'd be tied to the same like. But it would just be so amazing to just like show up in a town and be like, is someone hiring at the bar? Oh, they are perfect. And you like renting a room in somebody's house, and you just like living there for a while. And they're like, well, I'm tired of this place, and you just go somewhere else. I mean, I don't think you can do that anymore.
Not unless you're Dalton from Roadhouse, and you're a cooler.
That's not real.
I know.
Isn't that?
It is to me.
Disappointing.
All right.
It's not real. I mean, like the van life thing isn't the same because you're still like tethered to like your job at the North Face or whatever.
And you can describe all the Walmart, parking lots that you've slept in,
I mean, I'd want it to be more romantic than that. I just love the idea of like going and like washing dishes somewhere and like renting some shitty apartment and just being like, yeah, this is cool town.
Listen,
and then now I'm on to the next one.
You're about
breaking hearts,
15 to 17 years away from being untethered from your children, and that's when this is going to happen for you.
That's when I just sleep all day
in random towns.
I'm just turning into a dog.
You close
at that
the bar.
point.
That's when you'll get a dog.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you get your nutria, you start raising them in your backyard.
Oh, I thought you meant because I need more fiber in my diet, so my nutria yogurt.
All right, let's get into our parting shots. I went first last week, so Justin, you have the floor.
Okay. This is a tough one for me because I really want to go with two, but I'm going to go with the less obvious one. So I was at Trader Joe's yesterday, and I know that for some reason Trader Joe's, I'm sure this is like part of their brand strategy or whatever, is to like cram as much stuff as you possibly can in the stores because the aisles are really tight. But they say everyone I've ever been to is like this. And I just like, when I'm in there, I'm making such a thoughtful decision about where I'm going to park my cart while I go grab these 5 things so I don't get in people's way. And I'm just watching people just like walk by the yogurt and just let the cart go in the middle of the aisle and just like go over to like dig through the peach yogurt. So now everyone is behind them trying to like navigate
it's
around.
It's like knocking over
cart.
toddlers.
like you like, okay, here's where I need to go dig through this like salami section. So I'm going to park my cart here out of the way by the crackers no one wants. And I'm not blocking anybody's traffic. I'm just asking people out there at the store to just think about just have some spatial awareness. Just please. It's not like I'm not in a hurry. I just don't want to have to like stop and start because you're like fucking around with your cart. Just park your cart, go get your shit, and just leave it out of my way. Please. We can't have carts in the middle of the aisles anymore. We can't do it, folks.
And to that, also don't leave it in the middle of the parking lot. If there's no
that
cart
was my
return,
other one. That was my other one.
Combo
but that's kind of obvious.
Walk it back.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts.
It's nice, but it's just spatial awareness, generally speaking, but especially at a grocery store, please. That's all.
That's a good one.
That's it.
That's a good party shot. Mine is about spoiler alerts on podcasts because I listen to a lot of movie podcasts, and I'm kind of tired of people who are talking about like a 17-year-old movie and be like, oh, spoilers for this, and spoiler culture has gotten to the point where, like, if you are engaging in some sort of media on something that you're interested in that you don't want to know about, you have made that bargain and you have gone into it, and if it gets spoiled for you, that's because you chose to click play. Now, if it's a movie that just came out like this past weekend or something like that, fine. But if it's been out for, I'd even say like a few weeks, like Alien Romulus right now to me is on the table. That movie's been out for a month. If you haven't seen it yet, I don't know when you're going to see it. I don't feel like I need to censor myself talking about it without having to like feel bad about it if you're like, oh man, you spoiled that movie for me. So I'm just kind of tired about that. Let's no more spoiler alerts for movie podcasts or music or sports or anything else. That's my parting shot.
I get it. I love it. I also want to just say, people. Never mind. I was going to try to make a joke about that, but it didn't come to my head. I just thought it would.
You thought you might talk your way into it.
You sort of
something would
assumed
click
that
in.
like, oh, something's going to click, but it didn't happen.
Like, no, they got nothing.
Yeah.
You know what that means? You're putting your rhetorical shopping cart off to the side.
That's right. I think
well
before
done.
I speak.
Well played. Yeah, well played.
Yeah.
All right, we can wrap it up there then. The Rock Flight's a production of Rock Flight LLC. Our producer today was David Carlsbad. Art direction provided by Sarah Gensert. For Justin Housman, I'm Colin True. Thanks for listening, and here to take us out is our boy Krista Makes. Gonna sing the Rock Fight song. We'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.
Rock fight.